This is Small Talk with 101 ESPN's Michelle Smallman.
It's Small Talk, bitch. Welcome into episode 128 of Small Talk. Your hosts, Michelle Smallman and Steve Ceruti, are here with you. And we said it's Small Talk, bitch, because this is the Britney episode. This is the episode that I have been secretly waiting for the entire time we've done this podcast. And truthfully, Steve, I think this is the episode that I might have been born to make.
Well, you're currently dressed like Britney. Your hair is, as soon as we saw each other on the Zoom, I was like, wait, are you doing the Britney costume? You got a choker on. You have your, like, the straight hair from, what video was that? Was that Oops, I Did It Again? I don't even know. Probably most of them.
Oops. Of course it's Oops, Steve. I mean, She had a frosty blue eye, intense lip gloss. Her hair was in a headband with her own hair, straight hair. But yeah, I have the straight Britney hair going on. I have the choker on because we know Britney loves a choker. And I'm wearing a top, Steve, that has butterflies on it because we're all behind the Free Britney movement. We need her to fly away like a butterfly and be free.
We are. And can I just say this first and foremost? My favorite phrase, I think, is "it's Britney, bitch." It's just nothing hits like "it's Britney, bitch." Nothing like, if that is said, if someone's like, "it's Britney, bitch," or if you say that, you're instantly just hyped, right? You want to get out, you want to get after it. Like, you're in a good mood. No one, I remember there's a guy in college that would just like wear an it's Britney bitch shirt. And it was like, this guy's awesome. I love this guy. So love that phrase first and foremost. And then I also feel like I didn't appreciate Britney as much as I should have in real time. I appreciate her more now, which is crazy. I know. I always loved the songs. I was never like a big pop guy. I like Justin for sure. And I liked a lot of the Britney songs, but having heard them in preparation and researching this podcast after watching the doc, I'm like, I want to go see her show. I want her to come back to Vegas so I could see her. I've never seen her before. Have you? Because that's like a top 5 concert for me, maybe.
Yeah. So we're going to get into all of this. So before we dive in, let's set the groundwork here. There is a documentary that was released on FX, and it was done in conjunction with the New York Times, called Framing Britney Spears. And it's an incredible doc. Steve watched it before I did, and he texted me on Friday night, and he was like, holy shit, you need to watch this Britney Spears documentary. This is made for our podcast. And he's absolutely right. The doc tells the story of how Britney became a global superstar. It talks about how she became, I don't even think fodder is the right word, but just an obsession for the media and paparazzi, and how detrimental that was to her life. They talked about her mental health issues that she dealt with, and how that ultimately led to a court-ordered conservatorship that she's under, where her father was in charge of essentially every move that she made, financially or otherwise. And for a while now, for a few years, there's been this movement called the Free Britney movement, where fans have looked into this and realized that she's probably not someone that needs to be under this conservatorship. And so they have been protesting and speaking out against this. And there's been protests outside the courthouse, and they think that she might be held hostage in her home. It's this entire thing. And the documentary explores that. And there's so many threads to pull out of this, but for those who haven't seen the documentary yet, we highly, highly recommend that you do, but know that we are going to be talking about this the entire episode.
And it's not like a spoiler alert thing, right? All of this is public knowledge. You could still listen to this pod and then watch the doc after. I mean, you could certainly wait and hit pause, watch the doc, and come back. But if you listen to this first and then watch the doc, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal, because most of this stuff is public knowledge. There are a few things that I want to run by you that I didn't actually know coming out of this doc, but it was definitely eye-opening. I mean, there are things that I knew about, but I didn't know the extent. Paparazzi, my God, I didn't feel like I ever had a grasp of that until I saw this. And the Justin Timberlake stuff is crazy. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to get into. And I mean, I think you took notes, I took notes, so we'll get into it.
I just pulled them up actually on my phone
because
I was taking notes the entire time. Okay, so I guess what we should do, Steve, is talk about the different phases of Britney that they discuss in this documentary and Framing Britney Spears. So first things first, she had a lot of talent growing up in the tiny, tiny town of Kentwood, Louisiana, which is a very small, kind of nondescript, average American town in the South. And she grew up and was in the church choir, and her parents realized pretty early on that she had talent and said, we are going to do whatever it takes to make Britney a star. And we know that she ended up on the Mickey Mouse Club. But what I guess I didn't really realize is the path that it took her to get there. I didn't realize that she and her mom had to move to New York for periods of time and leave her family behind in Louisiana for her to pursue her dreams, and that she became incredibly close with her mother and increasingly distant from her dad, which is something that is very important as the story goes on. But you always just look at the end result and you don't really think of the person behind it and the path it took to get there. And I thought it was really interesting for them to put into context how small of a town it was that Britney came from, and how she was just a nice small town American girl who, even after she went to the Mickey Mouse Club, went home and lived a regular life as a regular teenager in high school for like 2 years before she all of a sudden, boom, became a massive superstar. So I think that this innocence that we see from her isn't a put on. She really was this naive, innocent girl from Louisiana.
A couple things. One, whenever parents are trying to make their kid a star, recipe for disaster, right? First, like that seems like that never works out. That person always is screwed up later in life. And it's sad. And Britney did want that, right? She wanted to be a star. Yeah. She clearly was a star. She had an incredible, people don't understand how talented Britney is. We'll get into this with the music a little bit later. Everybody thinks she's just like this sex symbol, which she is, but she's super freaking talented too. She's incredible. A performer. She has a great voice. When she was a kid, she was doing a million different things, as you said, the Mickey Mouse Club, which, by the way, you look back at that and you go, that's a who's who of people who are famous now. Mm-hmm. So whoever was scouting talent back then, like they deserved a raise at least at the time, or a medal now, because they're amazing. Right. And number two, you're right. The relationship with her dad was always kind of, it was like they laid the seeds of how that was kind of weird. And I want to run this by you. Did you pick up on this? Her dad's name is Jamie. Mm-hmm. Her mom's name is Lynn. Mm-hmm. Her sister's name is Jamie Lynn. They named her sister after her dad and her mom. Correct. Another two major red flags right off the bat.
Confirmed, yes. But Steve, Kentwood, Louisiana.
Imagine I'm sorry, I should know. What's your dad's name and what's your mom's name?
Tony and Robin.
Imagine if your name was Tony Robin Smallman. That was your name.
But Lynn is more of a middle name. Jamie is gender neutral. Lynn is gender neutral. Tony and Robin are gender neutral too. Oh my God.
Tony Robin. And it would be, your parents didn't do that because they're like, I'm sorry. They're just, they're smarter. I feel like that's just a weird thing to do. And I don't know. It's a small thing, but it was like, again, there's just immediate red flags from the Spears family coming up. And then he was kind of broke at one point.
He filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah. And it seemed like he was always in it for the money. So it didn't get off to a great start. I didn't really know any of that. I knew she was in the Mickey Mouse Club, but I didn't know like the background she came from and how poor they were.
Really quickly, someone in Connecticut names their kid Jamie Lynn. It's Jamie Lynn. If you're from the South, it's one word, Jamie Lynn.
Jamie Lynn. Yep.
Jamie Lynn. So it's easier if you come from the South because of the cadence and the way you say the name.
It's not the name, Michelle. It's that they're using their parents. They're using their own name to name their child. That's insane. It's not Jamie Lynn is, I get it, it's from the South. It's another name. You can't name your kid both of your names, both the parents' names. Like that's a recipe for disaster.
Okay, noted. I will note that for the future. Okay, so then all of a sudden, Britney gets signed to a record deal. She's 15, 16 years old. She gets signed to a record deal.
She wants to be a singer.
Baby One More Time comes out, and quite literally overnight, she becomes the number one pop artist in America and subsequently globally. And they talk about how when that video came out, she's just this young 16-year-old girl coming from Louisiana, but that video obviously was really earth-shattering for a lot of people, particularly young people at that time. We still had these shades, even though you had Madonna doing like a Virgin, and there were artists who were out there in pop culture that were sexualized. Never someone really to Britney's degree with her age. And it was almost like the way she did it was so subtle that it was shocking. It was a Catholic schoolgirl uniform that we were all, I went to Catholic school. I can tell you I didn't look that good. I didn't look that cool.
Your khakis.
Walking down the halls. I couldn't have, but it was almost like she took a normal American girl and sexualized it in a overtly but kind of subtle way. And it made every girl want to do the dance and be her, and every guy want to date her or to date some version of her. Yeah,
you said, I think it was last pod, that there never maybe has been and might never be again a sex symbol quite like Britney Spears. And you're right. Okay. And it's because of the look, the time, like it was just a weird, that was the late 90s, early 2000s. Again, we talk about this all the time, just a weird time for society and whatnot. But it was a banger. She was young and hot. And like, yeah, it was like a weird school, it was a fantasy for a lot of guys too, like it wasn't just like the music was great, but the guys, there was this like weird sexual fantasy to it. The whole thing was confusing and amazing at the same time. And it blew up overnight. And like, it's funny because I don't even love that song, that the Baby One More Time. It's a good song, but it's not, we're going to do a draft a little bit later. We'll figure this out, but she has much better bangers. But there's something about that and the Baby One More Time and everything that went with it that just hit different than anything had probably before that in music history.
And from that becomes this incredible pressure and or controversy surrounding her and the sexual nature of her and of her songs and just the way that we consumed her, because it was Baby One More Time. It was You Drive Me Crazy. It was Sometimes. She was all over the place. And this is before she even reaches her second album. But I remember when that first album dropped, all of the singles that came off it. Steve, I remember like racing home to watch TRL. She was like Britney or NSYNC at the top. And then she becomes this almost controversy or talking point in American society as concurrently, all of this Monica Lewinsky stuff is going on. And they talk about this in the documentary, that what happened in the political world with Lewinsky and Clinton all of a sudden kind of spilled over into pop culture, and the way that women were being discussed and almost demonized for being sexual beings was projected onto a very young Britney Spears. And I'm just going to back up real quick. One of the main threads from me that I pulled out of this was how unfairly she was treated and how incredibly awful I feel for her in so many regards. And that was one of them, because no person, especially someone of that age, is equipped to deal with that. No person who's in their teenage years, in their formative years, has the tools mentally to deal with the world picking apart their body, picking apart their sexuality, and trying to cast this judgment on them all the time.
Did your parents, like when you would listen to the CD, right? The first one, 1999, how old were you? Probably like 11?
Yeah, I mean, like,
did your parents,
7th grade, 8th grade?
Did your parents not like it? Because I remember later, so we used to work with somebody who was a dad, and he would talk about whatever being a dad, and I remember him saying that. I remember this very vividly. He's like, I don't like my daughter listening to Katy Perry because I just don't like the message of her songs, right? I kissed a girl and I liked it, all this stuff, blah 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 blah. But he liked Taylor Swift because she had better messaging, right? I understood that. So from a parent's perspective, like if you're putting on Britney Spears in 1999, your 11-year-old daughter is listening to this and she's watching this music video, it was jarring. Like it was extremely controversial. I was wondering if your parents ever I don't ever remember. I mean, I was a dude, so it didn't really matter. I have 2 younger sisters.
Yeah.
But I would imagine there was a lot of parent pushback of being like, you're not listening to Britney Spears in my house.
So I came from a very sheltered background. We all know I went to Catholic school. I will never forget this, Steve, because I loved Disney growing up. Loved Disney. Okay. And I remember starting to love the Spice Girls, starting to love NSYNC, starting to love Britney, starting to love Christina. And that's what girls would do. We would have slumber parties and we would put on Spice Girls, and like I would be posh and my friend would be sporty. And, then we would put on Britney Spears and we would make up dances to it or whatever. And I'll never forget, I got the Christina Aguilera album, and I was with my dad in the car and we're listening. I pop in Christina CD or whatever. And, I start singing Genie in a Bottle, and the lyrics go, I'm a genie in a bottle. You got to rub me the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm singing it on my way to soccer practice. And my dad's like, what did you just say?
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. And he was like, we are not listening to this. Yep. And I didn't understand. I didn't know what that meant. I was just like, yeah, like Genie from Aladdin. You have to rub the lamp and the genie comes out.
Did you understand the innuendo at that point? Because I don't think I remembered. I didn't understand.
I thought it was a genie
stuff
from Aladdin.
I totally agree. And you would sing the lyrics and you would never even know what they mean until later in your life. I remember, like, quick aside, because this is a good story. I had a similar situation, not with Britney, but I was shooting hoops in the driveway, right? And I had my like CD player, big old speaker thing. What do you call it? I don't even know the hell you call it, like stereo type thing. That was like kind of portable. had the Eminem Show CD in, right? I'm playing it, and my sisters are outside too, and they're younger than me, and you know, he swears all the time in that, right? My dad comes outside, I'm shooting hoops. He's like, "Hey, what is this? I hear the F words going on, and S, all this stuff. I don't want to hear it. Turn it off." I was like, "Fine, I'll turn it off." He goes back inside. A couple minutes later, I'm shooting hoops. I put the CD back in, start playing again, shooting around, whatever. My dad comes outside, opens up the CD player, takes the CD, breaks it in half, and walks away. It was the most hard-on move ever. I was like, I was so mad at the time, but looking back, I'm like, I respect the hell out of my dad for doing that, because he was like, "Do not play this in front of your sisters." I didn't listen, and I learned the lesson. So from a parent's perspective, I always think about this when I'm, you know, because obviously art and stuff like grows, and we're gonna have to deal with this when, you know, eventually if we ever have kids. And I don't know how I'm gonna handle that, because it is kind of an awkward situation. You don't really want your kids listening to that, but it still is really good music.
Okay, but we were singing "Hit Me, Baby, Hit Me One More Time," and kids now are singing WAP.
Yeah, it's listen, the line moves. The line has moved a lot. I remember asking you about WAP. I mean, imagine your daughter. Well, this is the thing we were talking about with, you know, just even the way kids look now, like when you were 13 versus with girls now, how they look when they're 13. It's night and freaking day. Like, it's amazing. So I just think that's society. It is what it is. Like the line moves as you know, the further we move through time.
It does. Okay, so back to Britney and back to the timeline of Britney. So as she's becoming this massive global superstar, this sex symbol, this international sex symbol, what is the only way that things can be ratcheted up a notch? Dating the male counterpart to her, and Justin Timberlake.
Gas on the fire. Let's go.
Oh, and let me tell you, Steve, I loved me some Justin Timberlake. He was my dream man. I was obsessed with him. I was
curly hair guy. You like the curly hair?
Oh
look?
My God. Yeah. Young Michelle used to listen to "God Must Have Spent a Little More Time on You."
Oh, that song.
In my bed, dream of Justin. I thought he was everything, but Britney was everything. You know, there was no better match than Britney and Justin. And so when they started dating, it sent pop culture into a frenzy, right?
That's the sports equivalent of like LeBron dating Serena Williams. Like that's the, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of other comparisons. It's the two biggest people in what they do dating each other. It's just, and that honestly, that the LeBron Serena thing probably doesn't even compare, because the global appeal that these two had, they were the two, it was the biggest pop star from a male and a female perspective, period. Like you couldn't have made this in a lab. Like I know NSYNC and half these boy bands were made in labs. You couldn't even make a better relationship in a lab than Britney and Justin.
And then the next thing you know, they're popping on red carpets and matching denim outfits.
Denim all the time. Let's go.
It was incredible. It was incredible. But then they break up. And this is where our pop princess's story starts to take a sad turn, a really sad turn. As they talk about in the documentary, Justin very much gets in front of this. And the rumor always was then that Britney cheated on Justin with Wade Robson, who was their choreographer. That was his friend. It was a very bad scenario. He was allegedly heartbroken, but he, and I'm taking these words from the documentary, they say he weaponized the breakup against her. He wanted to be the first one to talk about this and to make sure that everybody knew that she was the reason, because she hooked up with someone else. And he, in his Cry Me a River video, had a Britney lookalike who was cheating on him. And I will never forget when that came out. And it was the biggest thing in the entire world. Everyone was so mad at Britney. Everyone was like, how could you do this to him? You guys were perfect. With Wade, the choreographer, you're going to cheat with Wade? Are you serious, Britney? And so people started to demonize her and slut shame her in a lot of ways. And then this sexy version of Britney all of a sudden went from, we're going to idealize you, to you're on the cover of Us Weekly with Colin Farrell, and we're talking about you shacking up with Fred Durst. And all of a sudden her... Remember that? And then he wrote a song. Yeah. He wrote a song about her. And it just took a pretty gross turn pretty quick.
Okay. There's a lot there. I want to back it up just a little bit.
Okay.
I through over the years, I always thought it was kind of confirmed that she did cheat on him. But the documentary, and again, this isn't really a spoiler alert, it's still going to be good if you watch it, but the documentary very much made it seem like that was not necessarily true, that she did not necessarily cheat on him, you know? And I always thought it was, she definitely did. So that was, right off the bat, that was confusing. Did you have anything to, I just feel like that was always the norm. And it's almost like, I'm trying to think of like a comparison, like that the meteor killed the dinosaurs, right? Everyone just believed that. We didn't really know if it was true for a while, but it was. And this thing with Britney and being cheated and cheating on Justin, that was just taken as fact. And it didn't seem like the documentary went that way.
So the way that I took it is that it probably is the truth, but that he knew that she was going to get absolutely crushed publicly if he revealed this, and he did it anyway. That he did not care about how her image was going to be ruined if he revealed.
Well, he never talked about it. He only he's never come out. Okay, I know. Obviously, there's a lot of incriminating evidence here. I'm not going to sit here and defend Justin because there's a lot more that we can get to in a second about a certain interview on a radio station.
This is not defending Justin.
He technically has never. Neither of them have technically ever said that Britney cheated. It's never been said, and I didn't know that.
Really?
It has never been said. Nope. He says he will not talk about it, even though he kind of has, and she's never confirmed it either. It is not confirmed. At least that's what the doc said.
Well, he did talk about a lot. And at the time, one of the things that bothered me the most watching this documentary, Steve, is how Britney was treated by the media. And I'm not even talking about the paparazzi stuff, which we're going to get to, but watching old videos back of her being interviewed when she's having a man who is clearly her senior by probably about 20 years ask her about her breasts on television, for Diane Sawyer to be pumping her about what she did to Justin while she's sobbing on the couch. And obviously at that moment in time, the conversation surrounding women and the way women are viewed and the way women are treated was not at the forefront of society the way it is now. But when I remember all of that happening, I never thought, oh, poor Britney. And now looking back on it, I'm like, this is so gross. The way she was treated and the way she was objectified very publicly and with zero remorse by men who are much, much older than her is really, it's icky. It's very icky.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I like that people try to act like it was the media's fault. We still do this today. You eat that shit up, okay? There's a reason they're published. There's a reason paparazzi exists. There's a reason US, whatever, was it Weekly, US Weekly or whatever? Us Weekly. There's a reason those exist because people eat that up and they want that content. So for you to act, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. It's like, no, you played a part. We collectively played a part in that. I think that needs to be said because I think it's just annoying to immediately try to push the blame on somebody else. But you're right about, getting back to Justin too. I mean, even the discussion that they had on Hot 97, right, of that interview, and when they were like, "Oh, did you sleep with her?" And he kind of like shied away from it, and then was like, "Yeah, I did." And then everybody cheers. It's amazing, and it was so unbelievably cringeworthy. Like nothing has aged worse than that in 2021. It was so bad. So Justin in this, he's done no favors in this, and honestly, he's to blame. Like it is what it is, and it was a different time back then. I understand that he was young. I think he was in his early 20s at that point. Yeah. I'm not saying I was a perfect person at age 23 or whatever, but this doc does him no justice, and he definitely didn't help her in the public. Even if he didn't come out and specifically talk about what happened, he did her no favors throughout this process.
Absolutely not. And I try to look at everything through different lenses. And I think if I was him, and if I was a young person and I was deeply in love with someone and they cheated on me and I was very hurt and I could only focus on that pain, I would probably do the same thing. I would probably not care about their feelings, and I would probably want to out them for doing me wrong. And that seems like a very logical thing for an immature person to do. Like, think about how many people would do that normally in their late teens, early 20s, but you just happen to be on a platform where you're doing this in front of the entire world. And so that's something that I try to think about. But then when you also couple the way that he constantly brought it up and he constantly went to the Britney well to self-promote, and then you couple that with what happened with Janet Jackson and how Janet Jackson was slut-shamed from here to Mars and banned from the Super Bowl and losing endorsements and all of these things, and Justin essentially walks away from that thing scot-free and gets to come back and perform the Super Bowl. It just really highlights the way that misogyny is built into our culture and the way women are viewed as from a sexual standpoint as opposed to men.
Yeah, you brought up in our pre-show or whatever, just us talking about the Janet thing. I didn't even think about that, and I think Justin recently kind of came out too and said, yeah, I should have done more. I should have helped her more. I basically fucked up, right, in that whole. And all right, that's it's brave man to say that. I get that, but it's a little bit too late. Can you explain though? I still to this day don't understand the Super Bowl thing. Like, was that planned? Was it not planned? I don't even know.
It had to be planned because there was Velcro on her,
and he just
cup, whatever it was that he ripped off.
So it happened, and then she takes the blame, and he just basically is like, I had nothing to do with this kind of thing.
Yes. So she was wearing a top, and the line at the end of the song was, I'm going to have you naked by the end of the song. And he rips
Bang.
it off, reveals her boob. Everyone's like, oh my God, is that an exposed breast on national television? Everyone went bananas. She had to profusely apologize for this. He was in a little bit of hot water, but basically walked away. She was banned from the Grammys. Her music got blacklisted. Her album, I think, afterwards did not do well. And he did not receive in any way the same public punishment that she did. Also, by the way, he's been caught in cheating scandals or alleged cheating scandals, and he in no way has taken the heat that Britney took at that time. So it's that men aren't looked at with the same disdain when it comes to being a sexual being in the public. I mean, women still in a lot of parts are viewed as, you need to be covered up, you need to be, I'm looking at you through a puritanical sense, you can't highlight your sexuality. And so for him to be involved with these two women who were very sexual, and them to be demonized and him to almost be exalted in a lot of ways, it was really messed up.
Yeah, it's kind of like the, boys will be boys thing, and they move on. And they don't, they get off. I get it. There's totally a double standard. It's bullshit. And what's weird about the Janet Jackson thing too is, like, what are we, Puritans? Like, who cares? Like, what's the big deal? I don't understand. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I didn't even know she got banned from the Grammys. Like, what are we doing? What were we? No one in real time was like, hey, this is dumb. That's why I look back at the Britney stuff. But it happens. Like, you get this avalanche of stuff. Like, the snowball just keeps building and building and building, right? And it's hard to stop. But you look back now and go, my God, Britney was like crying out for help, and everyone was just couldn't get enough of it because it was so entertaining. And everyone's like, oh my God, she's having a massive meltdown. We'll get to that in a second. But it's crazy that you, in real time, you just cannot see that.
No. Can I give you one thing really quickly?
Yeah.
Last year's Super Bowl halftime show, people were outraged that Shakira and J-Lo were shaking their asses on TV. This year, you have The Weeknd singing songs about sex and drugs, literally talking about cocaine and about how his face is numb, and no one seemed to have a problem with that. But we are more offended by the female body and dancing.
It's incredibly stupid. Quick aside, speaking of the Super Bowl halftime show, it sucked, right? It was, and this is no indictment on his music, because I do think The Weeknd's talented. Not really for me, but that halftime show kind of sucked, right?
I thought visually it was very interesting. I thought the way that he executed things was different. I liked that he used the whole field. I liked the video elements that he used with the mirrors, but I just don't think of his music as music that is going to hype me up for a halftime show.
Not stadium
I really
music.
like his music. I even used it once on A+ content, but seeing Shakira and J-Lo dance makes you pumped. It makes you excited. You're like, yes, this is entertainment. The Weeknd, you're like, okay, yeah, this is a good, Starboy's a good song, but I'm not ready to run through a wall. I mean, it's okay. It's not my favorite Weeknd song.
I acknowledge he's really talented. He's just not for me, but I also totally agree. It's not stadium music. It's not. It didn't work. I don't understand why. And he doesn't get paid too. I don't think any of them really get paid. It's just basically a promotional opportunity for them. So obviously you have to say yes. But anyway, quick aside, wasn't for me. Last year with Shakira and J-Lo was way, way better.
Last year with Shakira and J-Lo was for everyone. Like, that was amazing.
For the people. Yeah.
For the people. Okay, so back to Britney. So as all of this is going on, she starts this slow deterioration. But she's clearly sad too about the breakup. It really affected her. But as this is happening, as pop's royal couple is breaking up, the media attention surrounding her ratchets up. And this is also, again, just like the Monica Lewinsky thing is concurrently happening, this is also concurrently happening when we have better access to the internet, and like our exposure to celebrities is happening in a different way. And so the paparazzi starts following her like white on rice. Unbelievable. And this is something that I really think we can look back on and feel ashamed about, because as you said, all of us were complicit in this. I bought Us Weekly every week. I could not wait to devour the news of Britney and Justin. When I studied abroad in Italy, I'll never forget, she shaved her head at the time when she was clearly saying, I am over this. I am not going to be the subject of your obsession anymore. Maybe if I lessen my appearance, you guys will not follow me. You will not care. We had to pay for internet in Italy, and we would pay to get 30 minutes we would email our parents and say, yo, we're alive. And then we would go to Us Weekly and be like, what's happening with Britney? Like, we were that obsessed with it at the time. And I look back on that and we never thought of her as a human. We just looked at it as like a TV show or something for our entertainment. And when I think about, you know, her being, she just must have felt so isolated. Like, who can you possibly relate to? No one else is going through this. You're being hounded all day, every day. You can never relax and be yourself. And I just, watching those videos of her trying to walk out of a place and having 100 people surrounding her, yelling things at her, taking her picture, bumping into her, and thinking about that happening multiple times a day, every day, it made me sick to my stomach. It really did.
I was claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Straight up. It was hard. It was difficult to watch. And as someone who, what was that? What, 2010-ish? When was that? It was like late 2010s
I think it was like 2007.
Or sorry, late 2000s, and it's like spilling over to the next decade. That was like, I was in college then, and then like getting into like my professional life. I didn't really know why any of this was happening. I knew about it. I knew her shaved head. I knew the paparazzi. I saw all the pictures. I didn't know the background of it. All I knew was like, oh my God, Britney's gone crazy. Like, that's it. And that's so shitty. You know, I look back and I go, that's so shitty for me to just be like, oh, she's gone crazy, because I didn't know what she was dealing with. And I would have gone crazy too. How could you not go crazy? It's insane. You know, I remember there's the one paparazzi guy who they interviewed in the show, which, you know, great for him for doing it. And I think he was somewhat remorseful, but he had a really stupid line when he was just like, I think he was out there. He was basically like, you know, I'll just get a picture of you and I'll go away. Or like, you know, smile, whatever. And, you know, it must be so awkward and uncomfortable to have all of your intimate moments. Like, you can't even just go to like 7-Eleven and get like a soda without a billion people around you trying to snap a picture of you when you're wearing like not the most flattering clothes, not wearing makeup. And that's the shot that they want. That's the money shot of you looking the craziest and you looking the worst. I just couldn't even imagine. So I feel, you know, there's nothing I think I could have done about it at the time, because I just wasn't that interested in it. I just knew about it kind of, but just assuming that, oh, she went crazy is just like a really shitty thing to do. And I think that's what most people thought, is, oh, Britney went crazy and that's what happened. But again, you put anyone in that position, and I dare you to not act civil in that situation, because it won't happen.
Well, and then I thought this was interesting. The Justin breakup and her continued success in the music and pop culture world was one thing, but then she marries K-Fed, and then she has kids. And the interest in her, Kevin Federline, for those who don't know who K-Fed is, and then the interest in her skyrockets. And that's when I really, when I was watching it, started to get anxiety, because she's with her baby, with her child, trying to have lunch and leave a restaurant. And all of these people with zero regard for the well-being of her child are up in her face trying to get pictures. And she's crying, being like, leave us alone. And then she's tripping because she cannot walk a straight path with her kid, and he's slipping out of her arms. And then the headline is, Britney's a bad mom. I cannot imagine feeling that misunderstood and having to deal with that all the time, having the perception of me be, Michelle's a bad mom, when I'm internally screaming like, I could not walk because the paparazzi would not, like, they caused this, and now they're painting this incredibly unfair narrative of me.
Yeah, you can't control any of the stuff about your life, right? You can be an amazing mother in all of these moments, and then and everybody has these things. Like, they're always perfect, but all of her imperfections were just blasted out there for everyone to see. And then, you know, they get into the thing where she's, you know, she drives away from the paparazzi with the kid in her lap, no seatbelt, which obviously is bad, not great. But given the context of the situation, she's just trying to get out of there because everyone's swamped, you know, is around her, and she doesn't want to be there anymore. And the quickest thing to do is just to hightail it out of there. Like, she's not a perfect person, but we, you know, again, society just sort of like turned her into this this thing that she didn't want to be. And it's really sad. It was honestly really uncomfortable to watch. And it was from someone who isn't in that world. Like, I wasn't, like, I know you, like, obviously followed her very closely. I didn't follow her super closely. I loved her music. I knew the videos. Like, obviously she's really attractive, but I didn't know the how and the why of why things were happening. It was really eye-opening for me to see that and just be like, I can't believe people just let this happen. I kept saying that multiple times watching this. I'm like, how did we just let this happen? It was so obviously wrong at the time.
And she's clearly crying out for help, as you mentioned several times.
Oh my goodness. I mean, multiple times.
The thing for me, I think, of all of the things that we saw in regards to the media and the paparazzi that stood out to me the most was the infamous head shaving night and the umbrella incident. I will never forget seeing those pictures of her shaving her head and slamming the umbrella against the paparazzi's door. They were everywhere. You could not go anywhere without seeing those pictures. And once we got the background to the story, she was going through this divorce with Kevin Federline. She was trying to see her sons. She shaves her head because she wants the paparazzi to leave her alone. And she thinks maybe allegedly, this is what she's thinking, that if she doesn't look the same, that they'll leave her alone. She goes to see her kids and he will not let them see her. And she's devastated. And she goes to a gas station to get gas, and she's clearly distraught over not being able to see her children. And the paparazzi are taking pictures of her and will not leave her alone. And she snaps. And I cannot say that in that moment, I would not have done the exact same thing. But the way that we talked about her and picked her apart was, this is a mental person. She is crazy. She probably shouldn't have her kids. Look at her shaving her head. You know, what's wrong with Britney? Instead of being like, hey, is she okay? Is anyone actually looking at her as a person? I don't know. Just the whole thing was it was bothersome. It was really bothersome. And I want to write her a personal letter of apology for every Us Weekly magazine I ever bought and for every article that I ever clicked on. But that leads into this big downward spiral that does expose some mental health struggles for her. She gets put under 5150 hold and does get taken for mental evaluation. There's the whole era of her partying with Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan and substance issues happening. And so this all snowballs into eventually in 2008, a conservatorship being put into place because her family was concerned about her and they thought, you know what, she is not in a mental state to make important decisions. So we need to protect her and protect this massive fortune that she has earned and put in place someone to control this. And it's her father, Jamie Spears, that gets put in charge of the conservatorship. And what I thought was really interesting about this is that they revealed that Britney from the jump did not want her dad to be in charge of this, which I never knew. That was one
anybody but him, basically.
Anybody but him. And when they revealed that she didn't have a very close relationship with him, essentially from when she was really young, I'm thinking again of myself in this moment. If I'm struggling, if I'm going through all of this stuff, and then someone is going to be put in charge of making decisions for me, and it's someone that I don't have a great and trusting relationship with, I mean, imagine how you would feel in that moment.
What was going through my mind during that was, I don't understand how the court, if she specifically said, I don't want this, I'll let it happen, because she knew that she knew she basically had to do that, right, to see her kids. So, you know, all right, your hands are kind of tied and you got to do what you got to do. Her one request, it didn't seem like she was fighting it. Her one request is just to not have it be her dad. I'm like, why would you not just put it in a lawyer's hands or somebody else's hand? Like, you know, like somebody who is not.
Her mom. She was.
Well, don't get it. So this is, and again, I don't want to criticize because I don't know. And this gets back to like maybe learning all the facts first. But one of the things that went through my mind, Michelle, was like, where's her mom in all this? Why is she not involved? And I don't know the answer. Do you?
No, I have no idea, because they're close, allegedly.
So why would she not be the conservator? You know?
I don't know. Maybe the dad filed and the mom didn't. I have no idea how that went down, but that's something that I thought of too. But so her dad is put in charge of her under this conservatorship. And this entire time that Britney is unwell and she is not in a mental state where she can make important decisions, she's still being trotted out to perform and doing $100 million plus world tours. And she's well enough to work, but she's not well enough to make decisions. And so as this is going on, people start asking questions and they're saying, why is this conservatorship still put into place? Because this is really limiting for her. She essentially can't make decisions about her life, about her money. She has to run everything through her dad. And they have footage from her MTV show that showed them not being on the same page. And meanwhile, she's still being...
She's got a Vegas tour. Well, what do you call it?
Trotted out to do all of this work, and her dad is getting a cut in this. So there's a lot of money tied up into this. There's a lot of power tied up into this. And when you have someone like Britney who's made this much money, there's a lot at stake.
Yeah, none of it really makes sense. But as the lawyer said in the piece, she didn't really know anybody that ever got out of a conservatorship. But again, they're mostly for older people who are, you know, suffering from dementia, or just, you know, things like that, like health problems that are like that when you get older, or accidents. You know, Britney was not a typical person who would be in a conservatorship. So the fact that there was like really there was no out plan, and every time that it would come up for appeal, it would basically get denied. it almost seemed like a helpless situation for her. So the whole thing is really sad. And you're right, she's performing throughout this whole thing. She's clearly able to do that. She's really good at it, and she's making a ton of money for everybody, as you mentioned, including her dad. I don't understand. They didn't really get into it, but it didn't seem like there really is an out other than her appealing it. But then how do you tell if she's actually well enough she has to go through another psych eval? And I guess that's the only way you could tell whether or not she should get out of it. I don't know. Because the whole Free Britney movement, I understand why it's there. But I don't understand what the next step is. What happens? Like, she just gets her dad's out of the picture and she gets full control of everything again. I don't know.
So he was removed from one part of the conservatorship because of personal health reasons. I actually looked this up before. This was back in September 2019. And as they mentioned in the documentary, a law firm, or I believe a bank maybe, is also in charge of parts of this. But this is going back to court, I think, because she has said, I'm afraid of my dad. I'm not going to perform again until he's not in charge of my career. And she's really making a stand here, and they're really going to have to look into this. But I think so one of the things that was mentioned in the documentary is that there were medical records that were a part of this, that no one other than the courts and the powers that be, the people involved in this, know what were in the medical records. And that has something to do with this and why Britney has not been freed, as the hashtag Free Britney movement says. And maybe she has undergone pretty serious evaluations that lend itself to wanting this to be put into place. We don't know that, but I do think there is something to be said if she is, lucid enough to hire a lawyer and say, I am afraid of my dad and I don't want him to be. If you're in a mental space where you can cognitively say, I don't want this and I'm going to hire a lawyer, that should be taken into consideration. And also that she would be put in charge of a huge operation in a tour that's generating all this money and that all of these sponsors put money into. I don't know. I just think that there's got to be some sort of middle ground that could be put in place to protect her if need be, that also doesn't essentially keep her trapped.
Yeah, the one thing that I kept saying to Maddie during that ending part, because it was very unclear about, okay, well, why does this keep getting denied, was there has to be something we're missing. There has to be something we don't know. And because why would the court just side with her dad? Like, why would the court just be like, oh yeah, well, keep this thing going? There's no incentive for this. It's not like they're making money from it. Yes, one of the lawyers was, but if there's clearly nothing, if they see her and they go, oh, yeah, she's fine, what benefit is it to them to keep this conservatorship going? So I that's all I kept saying was there has to be something we're missing. And then, like, let's be honest, and I'm going to try to say this as gently as possible, but if you look at her Instagram, it's a mess. It's a mess, right? I, even before this documentary, I followed her on Instagram, obviously, and it just, there's something off about it. And again, like I want her to get whatever help she needs and is necessary for her to be a healthy person. But I just think on the surface, if you look at the Instagram account, Michelle, there's some, I don't know. It just doesn't look right to me. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. And I don't want to speculate because I don't want to do that. I'm just saying that there has to be something we're missing, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of theories out there about the Instagram. And I wish that they would have, that's the one maybe piece of constructive criticism that I would have about the documentary, is the way they explored the Instagram was more like, Britney's a mystery. And is she trying to tell us things through the Instagram? But also, just based on the eye test, I don't think the Instagram is great for her case.
It's failing the test for sure.
It's
failing. And you're right. The doc was it was pro Britney. It was, it was,
yeah,
and sure. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. It was about the Free Britney movement, but they didn't really, and they reached out to Jamie, the father, and a bunch of the lawyer, and they all declined. But obviously they declined, but there was really it wasn't even really open to why it could possibly still be. And it was just that it's wrong.
Well, they did do a good job highlighting the people that had come into her life, like Sam Lufty, who were clearly manipulating her and trying to get
sketchy as hell.
In control of the finances. And I think that is certainly a thing to look at if you're her family, that she would allow, for lack of a better word, these leeches to come into her life and give them a lot of control over really important decisions. And so I can understand, especially as a mother of 2 children, that they would want to protect her and the fortune that she's amassed that will eventually go to her kids. Like if those are your grandkids, you want to make sure that what their mom has earned is going to go to the rightful heir, for lack of a better term. But I did think that they did a good job of showing kind of this revolving door of sketchy characters that came in and out of her life during that time, and why she might need some sort of legal protection from people like that.
Now, that's a fair point. And I think to close, like the one thing that I think I took from it that was really cool that I had never thought before was just like how much she touched and impacted people throughout her entire career, and all the people that were like, I was uncomfortable with who I was. And Britney, I saw Britney doing this, male or female, and just being like, I feel like I could express myself because it's Britney. And it's the same thing. Like it's the it's Britney bitch mantra, right? You can be whoever you want. It's almost like Sasha Fierce from Beyonce. Yes. It's this alter ego that Britney brought out in a lot of people that I had, again, never really thought of, and I thought was really cool. And that's why so many people are behind this movement, because they genuinely love her and want her to be well and want her obviously to be happy.
Yeah, we care for her. We care for Britney. I saw Britney in Vegas during her residency.
Oh, jelly.
Mage jelly, man. It was awesome. And when I think about my childhood encompassed and my, like, all of the great things about being young, it's Britney Spears. It's the music takes you back. And the thing about her is she was so enduring. I mean, I look at Britney and she was the voice of my grade school years to some point, like the end of it, my high school years, my college years, my post-college years. There is a song from Britney that takes me back to any of those times. So when I saw her in Vegas, she barely spoke. The only time she spoke was to say like, hey guys, and she brought up a guy from the crowd to do a song with her. Nice. But she danced the whole time, and it did not matter that she did not talk. Every song that she played, it takes you back. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to because of the like pure joy that I got from being there and being with my friends. It was awesome.
Yeah,
You need to see her. Hopefully this stuff gets worked out, and we're behind Britney. Free Britney, right? Like we are pro Britney.
Yeah, and honestly, she wants to perform too. It's not like that's what she loves. Like she's clearly doing it on her Instagram, and it's a little bit weird, but she's doing all these dance moves. That's clearly the thing that she loves, that makes her happy. So I mean, I think I would want her to get back to doing that, and because she could make a ton of money, because she's still really good and people still want to see her. There are very few people that can have, what is it, like it's a residency in Vegas basically at the MGM. I mean, how you can count on like one hand the amount of people that could probably do that, and she's one of them, and she should be back to doing that. So selfishly, yes, I mean, obviously I want her to be happy because just she's a human being, and you want everyone to just figure out what they love and what's what makes them happy. But also because I think I want to see her perform again, because that's what she wants to do, and people like you and I want to go see that. So I think it's a good transition into our song rankings, because
our draft.
Yeah, our draft. I have my power rankings up now that I'll pick from.
Don't get it twisted. This is not a group power rankings. This is a draft.
No,
okay?
this is,
and I dressed the part. Okay, I'm ready to kick your ass here. Okay.
I don't remember who has first pick. What was our last draft?
Give it to me.
What was our last draft?
Great question. Let me think. Let me look it up.
I know. I'm trying to it's been so long. Like I feel like we meant to do more, but it just ended up, time flies, right? When you're having fun, we didn't really necessarily have something to do. And I proposed to you, I was like, why don't we do a Britney song draft? And it's so different. Starting in 99, when she did this, when she obviously came out with Baby One More Time, even up until like the mid 2010s, her arc is so different, but
so great.
And they put me in different places in time, because I'm very nostalgic with music, and I could go, I remember when I was listening to this song, right? So I think those are what my rankings are. I'm interested. There are 3 songs I have that I think I absolutely have to have.
You're not going to get them all.
I don't think I'm going to get them all, though. I don't think I'm going to get them all.
So we're going to do 5 each, right, for the draft?
Yep, 5 each.
Okay, so...
Wait, did you look up our last draft or no?
Yes, I believe it was a holiday draft.
And I gave you the first pick, right?
You did, but because you traded it to me, I feel like I should still get first pick here.
You know what?
That was a you choice. That was a you choice.
That's fair, but I get the next 2, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, actually, do I want to do that? I don't know.
I think I want the first pick. Oh, do I want the first pick? I don't know.
There's one song that if I don't get, I won't sleep tonight. And I don't know, do I risk it for the biscuit? Like, do I risk it to get 2 and 3, which I know will be crucial in this draft? Or do I give me the first pick? Because if I don't get this, I mean.
Okay,
I have to have it. I have to have it. I'll take the first pick.
Okay, I think I have a clear one, but I'm interested to see if it's the same one as you. So you'll have it, and I get the next 2. Now I'm nervous. Okay.
Okay. So, I'm so excited. I have so many notes. You have no idea. I don't think I've ever taken more notes for a draft. And I know the subject matter up and down. Okay. I'm confident in my knowledge here, but I needed to make sure. Okay. I cannot drop the ball in this draft.
Okay. Mine are going to be quicker. Like mine are just bullet points. This is the song. Here's why. You can go as long as you want. Just know that mine are going to be quick.
Okay. I will move quickly. Steve, with the first pick in the Britney Spears draft, I'm taking I'm a Slave for You.
Oh, wow.
I'm taking Slave for You. Okay. Okay. Interesting. This is adult Britney. This is, I'm embracing my sexuality. I am hot. I am here. I am ready. The Neptunes are here. The sound has evolved. Steve, this song came out and young Michelle was like, I need a belly button ring. I need a crop top and I need it now. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know what was happening in the video. They're in a weird apartment or kind of a loft situation with no air conditioning. They're dancing with strangers. She's wearing a thong over her leather pants, but it's fine. It's amazing. We're not asking any questions. We just need to be there. We need to be a part of it. And this is when Britney started to grow up and embrace herself. We always knew she was a good dancer. This is when Britney showed us how on point she is in the dancing department, okay? And don't even get me started on the snake at the VMAs. Iconic. I needed this song. I'm glad I got it. And like she says in the song, she's not trying to hide it, baby. Okay, we're out.
Okay, couple things. One, this was 2001. So you say grown up adult Britney. I mean, she wasn't that much of it. Was she 20?
But this was before she was kind of coquettish. She was the girl in high school with the crop top. This was no, we're in a bra top, we're in leather pants, there's a thong over top of it, and we are having an orgy of sorts in an apartment with no air conditioning, and we're having a good time.
There's a lot of sweating in most of her videos, which it's embraced. It's the club lifestyle. I also love how it's for you, like the number 4 and the letter U. I absolutely love that. Right. And I'll just say this was nowhere near the top of my list. So we might be way off on that. I had this at 11.
Who are you? 11?
I guess
you.
I thought number 1 was obvious.
This is going to be like, I know where you're going with number 2. You're going to go Toxic.
Going with Toxic at number 1. Yeah. I thought that was the clear one. That was 2003. I think, okay. So you have the early Britney, which is, I think, more poppy, innocent, oops, I did it again, baby one more time. What?
I jumped you. I didn't even let you deliver it with.
No, it's okay. Because that's where I thought you were going. That's where I thought you were going, Michelle. So I was like, you know what? I could do without it. I'd really want it, but I could do without it. But I kind of think it is the number. It's the safe choice, right? This is the Andrew Luck of the draft. It's a great song. And I think it's a good mixture of her early stuff and her late stuff. It's kind of in the middle there where it's a little bit like clubby, but still kind of original Britney. So I think the lane is actually kind of perfect. I get a bunch of different Britneys in this one song. And I go back to this. If I have one bullet in the Britney gun, it's Toxic, right? It's Toxic.
Yeah, I don't know how you argue with the nude bodysuit.
The flight attendant deal, it's great. Yeah, it's great.
The song, I mean,
that song comes on and you're pumped. Like, Slave for You is a good song, but I'm not as pumped. Come on, you're putting Slave for You on over Toxic? No way. If you're at a party, Michelle, if you're at a party and those two songs come on, people are way more pumped for Toxic.
That is not even the number 1 party song that I am putting on for Britney.
Well, I get the next pick too, so slow your roll for a second. There is there's a couple party songs I absolutely need, but I feel like I already kind of have one. So I'm going to go original, 1990s Britney. Although this is 2000, I think. I'm going to go, I flip-flop between Oops, I Did It Again and Baby One More Time. To me, those are the quintessential original Britney the pair, right? Those are the 2 songs, and everyone has their favorite. I struggled with this. I'm going to go with Oops, I Did It Again. Good. And you want the other one. Okay, that's fine. I just think this is
fine. Oops is great. Oops is great.
I think it's a better song than Baby One More Time. I understand that Baby One More Time was iconic because of everything we talked about, how it was the beginning of Britney. I understand the importance of it, but I think Oops, I Did It Again is a better song, and she gets bonus points because in the video there's a space theme going on. Everybody knows how much I love space. Red jumpsuit and kind of the hair you have right now. I think I'm all, come on, number 2. So I get good club Britney, and I get original Britney song with Oops, I Did It Again.
Okay, I love that. As we mentioned earlier, she has the baby blue eyeshadow, the overly glossy lip. She's using her own hair as a headband. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, the red latex jumpsuit. All of us were like, what? How are you coming out in a red light?
And space. Don't forget about space.
Space. You know what, Steve? In the video, we're on Mars, but somehow the Titanic Heart of the Ocean necklace makes an appearance.
Yep.
This might be the best interlude or interjection in a song in history when Britney pops in and goes, but I thought the old lady dropped it into the ocean.
Yes. Yes.
Like, how can you work that in a song?
It's so bad that it's good, you know? It's
When
so
she goes,
weird that it's great.
oh, you shouldn't have.
Yep.
And then oops pops back in. It's classic. It's amazing. And she's not that innocent. Again, embracing who she is. I love it. Good pick by you. Good pick
Thank
by
you.
you.
I feel like I knocked out of the park with my first two here.
Well, I'm going Hit Me Baby One More Time with my second pick in the draft. This is 16-year-old Britney. She's a former Disney star, officially popping in to the pop world. I love the video, how it starts with her kicking the desk, then the bell rings, and all of a sudden, what is happening? Like I said, I went to Catholic school. I didn't look like that. I did not look like that. And I love that our first introduction to Britney ever is her growling. Oh, baby, baby.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. That's her introduction musically to the world. And the whole thing was perfection. It's iconic. The dance moves were so crisp. Like the video is so good, Steve, that I forgive her for wearing pigtails with like fur hair ties in there. Like everything else was so good. The Adidas pants, the basketball scene, the bangs. I mean, forget it. So I am pumped with my first two picks.
That was the pick. That was 100% the pick you had to make there because
Have to.
It's honestly, you could say that 4 was too low for it. You could say that.
100%.
I'm happy with mine. I'm sure you are with yours, but 4 might have even been too low. I have 3 picks left and I have 3 songs that I absolutely want. Let's see if I get them all.
You're not going to get them all. I guarantee it.
I don't know. Because some of them, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm just going to pick because I don't want to give you any hints.
Okay, go ahead. Your turn. So
This might be off the radar. This is why I don't think, but I need this song, Michelle. I think that this is my I'm a Slave for You because this is a little bit off the radar. I'm not sure if you're going to pick this, but I love this song. This is, I think, her best club banger, absolute best club banger. I thought about taking this one. This is how much I love this song. This was 2011 Britney, Till the World Ends.
Great song.
It's so good, Michelle.
Great song.
I had forgotten about it, and I'm going through, there was like a list on Variety of the top 50 Britney songs, right? I'm playing the YouTube videos. I'm like, oh yeah, I like this song. This is good. Oh, I remember the song. This song came on and the beat drops and I go, holy shit, I forgot how pumped and how much I love this song. Because let's be honest, I don't put Britney on in the car. I mean, if it comes on, I'm excited, but I'm not putting it on. So it's probably been close to a decade. I mean, it came out a decade ago. It's probably been close to 5 years since I even heard this song. But when that beat hit and that beat dropped, I'm like, this has to be on my list. Absolutely have to get this song. So I'll take Till the World Ends.
Great pick by you. Love the song, was not in my top 5, but I think it's a strong selection from you. Okay. So this is playing directly into my hands, Steve, because with number 3 on my list, it is Britney, bitch. I'm going with Give Me More. Going with Give Me More. She had the dark hair. It was a dark album. It was dark times for a girl. Blackout times, to be specific. The Blackout album came out, Britney was struggling a little bit. And that song, despite everything that was happening in her life, was such a hit. She comes out saying it's Britney, bitch, and we're like, yeah, it is. You better believe it is. I don't care what's going on in your personal life. I don't really care about what's happening at the VMAs. All I care about is that you're saying it's Britney, bitch. And it was an incredible song. It still is. And if you listen to the lyrics too, it's just, give me more. I don't even need to explain it anymore. You know what I want to say.
You don't, because I wrote down "Give Me More" and I just put in quotes, "It's Britney." It's Britney bitch song. That's all I care about. It birthed "It's Britney bitch," so it deserves respect. Now, this was not one of the 3 that I wanted. Okay. It was just outside the top 5 for me. But if you had taken one of the ones I want, I would have happily taken this song. So great pick by you. But there are 2 songs that I absolutely love and that I need. And I'm gonna see. I got one of the 3. Let's see if I can go 3 for 3.
Okay.
I feel like I have to go with Crazy. Because I'm trying to round out my playlist, right? This is another early Britney song. This is 1999. I honestly think this is kind of, it's not Oops, I Did It Again. It's not Baby One More Time. It's just a little bit below those 2 songs, but it's still really, really good. And it's early Britney. So give me that one. And I'm praying that I get my last one because it might be one of my favorite songs. Are
you taking regular or remix?
Regular, I think.
Ooh, mistake.
Both? Could I get both? I get the entire genre or all of
you should go
the
with
catalog.
Here's all you need to know. The Crazy remix is the one that she did the making of the video of with Melissa Joan Hart when she's in the green top and the black pants. So you need to
I'll take that one then. Okay, I'll take your advice.
Incredible video. There was some star power in there with Melissa Joan Hart and Adrienne Grenier. She's dancing in the green top and the black pants, but she's also kind of doing, I think, like a waitress deal there. Great. Love that song, but not in my top 5.
Okay. Oh, now
Okay.
I just have to pray that you don't take my last one because I love this song.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 songs.
There's a lot of great songs left.
Oh my God, there's so many great songs, but I really narrowed it down. So I have 1. Okay. This is a gamble because my favorite Britney song is a deep track, and I don't think you're going to take it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fingers crossed that is still on the board for me with my final pick. And I have 2 slower songs that I'm choosing between. And you know what we're going to do here, Steve, is we are going to go with Every Time by Britney Spears. Now, it was between Every Time or Lucky. I say by Britney Spears as if it's any other artist we're talking about. But
Yeah.
It's between Every Time and Lucky, because Lucky is very prophetic right now. That here's this girl who has it all and everybody thinks she's great, but she's crying at night. She's very isolated and alone and sad inside. And it's a great song too, by the way. Early morning. I mean, it's great. We love it.
It is.
But Every Time, like, do not try to pigeonhole my girl into a pop dance corner, okay? Britney can do a ballad too. This was her response to Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River. This song is deep. The piano chords, amazing. It's haunting. You can feel her pain when she sings this song. The video was amazing. And the tub scene in the end, are you kidding me? Give her the Oscar now. But anyone that's been through a really bad breakup can listen to Every Time and feel something. And I think this shows a deeper side of Britney that we don't normally get. And I want to show her multifaceted self to the world. So I'm putting Every Time on my list.
Great song. Not going to argue with it. Wasn't on my list. I did have Lucky on my list, but I probably wasn't going to get to it. And this is the reason I'm going to win the draft. It's right here.
If you take the song I want, I'm going to be so.
I don't think so, because you described slower songs, and this is a club banger.
No, I'm ending with the banger. Those were the 2 slow ones I
Okay.
was choosing between. Was Lucky and Every Time.
This is number 2 club banger behind Till the World Ends. Came out in 2013. Give me Work, Bitch. Love that song. It's such a good song.
Good. You know, when I saw her in Vegas, I bought a Work Bitch t-shirt.
I mean, there are no losers in this draft, Michelle, but I kind of feel like I just crushed this. You went too deep. People are going to look at my list and go, yes, 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 done, Ceruti. Work Bitch is so good. It's very much like Till the World Ends. I kind of forgot this song even existed. And then I'm slipping through and boom. All right, let's click this on YouTube. Oh my God. Why do I not listen to this on a regular basis? So now I'm going to start doing that. Work Bitch is such a good song. It's Britney Bitch, but it is that club banger type. Like, let me start chugging some Four Locos thing. Kind of takes me back a little bit to college. Absolutely love it. And I feel like it rounds out. So I have kind of like 2 club bangers, 2 of the like original Britney songs, and Toxic, which is right in the middle. I feel like I crushed this thing.
Okay, so Work Bitch, incredible song. Also great messaging for the kids. If you want a hot body, if you want a Maserati, if whatever you want, you gotta work, bitch. Like, you gotta work. Get off your ass, stop playing video games and doing TikToks and start working, bitch.
Motivational speaker.
That's right. Like, people don't give Britney enough credit for being the leader that she is. But I'm commending you for your draft. Great. I actually love my draft too. And I'm like, the Britney fans listening to this, the real Britney stans will absolutely appreciate this song. This dropped, I believe, Steve, in 2004. And this is one of Britney herself. This is one of her favorite songs that she's ever done. She actually pushed for her music label to fund a video for this because it wasn't really on an album. It was, I believe, a standalone single. She's performed it on almost every tour that she's done, including her Vegas residency, because she loves it this much.
Oh, facts.
And I do too, Steve. Rounding out my draft here, I'm going with Do Something. Come on. Incredible song.
It's good. Had kind of forgotten about it. That was when I was in high school, so it was not one of the ones that I put on, but if it was on, I was pumped about it. But I think you're going to, this is your Britney list, so I get it. Like, you're drafting for what makes you feel great, and that's awesome. I'm pumped for you. I just feel like the casual person is going to look at my list and go, he won.
I think anyone with ears is going to put my 5 songs together and be like, what? I haven't listened to Do Something in many years, and I should put it in the rotation.
This is the first draft where there's no losers, though. Like, come on. There's a first and a second, but nobody lost because you're just, you're listening to great stuff. I just, I don't know. This will tell whether or not we have like Britney diehards like you or more casuals like me listening to the pod.
Okay, so to recap, I have Slave for You, Hit Me Baby One More Time, Give Me More, Every Time, and Do Something. I am thrilled with my list.
I got every song I wanted, which you said I wasn't going to, so I'm excited about that. I got Toxic at 1. I did Oops, I Did It Again, Till the End of the World, Till the World Ends, Crazy, and then Work Bitch. I wanted Toxic, I wanted Till the World Ends, and I wanted Work Bitch. I got all 3 of those, and then I added the 2 sort of original Britney songs, the 1999 2000s ones. I could not be happier with this draft. This is basically, I'm trying to think of this is like I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. This is the greatest sports draft ever. I don't even know what it would be. What was the best sports draft ever? I don't even know. This is like the 84 quarterback draft, I guess. Is that what it was with totally. Marino and all those guys? That I just did that.
Yeah, and guess who's Marino? Do Something. Okay, you let Do Something slip this far in the draft. He's gonna make you pay.
I still got Elway. I got Jim Kelly. I'm okay. I'm doing fine.
Okay, fine. All right. Well, this was so fun. Let's get to a review quickly.
Let's do it.
Let us know on the website, smalltalkpod.com, what you think of the draft. And I'm sure John will have a very comprehensive, intern John, a very comprehensive blog written about this.
Yeah, we should actually do a Twitter poll, and then, definitely leave your comments. Maybe we'll have John give his top 5 or his winner. And I'm going to make a graphic too, so you can go to the website and check it out there for sure, because we want to start doing more of that. But I had a blast. I mean, I had forgotten how much I love Britney, and the doc, it was obviously kind of like it was a serious subject, but it got us to remember the stuff that we love about her and how much she had an impact on our lives, to be honest with you. Me as like a dude, I'm a 32-year-old guy now these days. And I'm like, yeah, Britney, she definitely had like this, she shaped part of my childhood. It's awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to know what part she shaped, Steve.
Let's leave that alone. That's for another pod.
Let's just leave that one on the table there. Okay, so if you haven't already, please head to Apple Podcasts, search for Small Talk, subscribe to it, rate it, leave a review, preferably 5 stars in the rating there, if you don't mind. Okay, this one, Steve, comes from VWU Mush. I'm assuming maybe West Virginia. Mush.
Nice.
It says, enjoying the podcast, 5 stars. Great to hear the 2 of them together.
Short and sweet. I love it.
I love it too.
My grandfather was a man of few words, and I loved him so much. People that are of few words but make them impactful, those are the kind of people you want to be. So what's his name? West Virginia, whatever.
Well, I'm just assuming that's what it means. It says WVU Mush.
Well, big fan, man. I appreciate it. Brevity is a lost art in today's society.
I love how it's like great to hear the 2 of them together as if we've been apart, Maybe this person is just coming to the pod and didn't know we've been doing this.
Episode 128, he found us. He's got a big catalog to go check out. But hey, man, we appreciate it. That's awesome.
Yeah, Steve, imagine someone who's never listened to our podcast stumbling across the Britney episode for the first one.
Yeah. We like to be eclectic. Like we talk about a lot of different things. You would listen and think this was just a Britney podcast, which there is, by the way, on the doc. They talk about the free Britney podcast, right? And they just talked about all our Instagram posts, which is actually a testament to how crazy Britney, like how crazy her fans are, that they would do a podcast just on her Instagram posts alone.
Right.
But we're not quite at that level yet, but we're striving. One day we'll get there.
One day we will get there. Well, this was fun. We actually have an interview on deck next week that we're really looking forward to, but that had to be put on pause because that the 2 of us, we had to deep dive on the Britney doc once it was released. But Steve and I will be back in action next week. But until then, free Britney.
It's Britney, bitch.
Thanks for listening to Small Talk. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or the Podcast One app.